Hi ladies, today I'm at Coral Spa, which is a beautiful spa center in heart of Notting Hill in London. It is a place where I come to relax. It's a place where I send my friends who need a massage. And today we will be meeting Megan Vickers, who is a physiotherapist specialized in all things women, in particular in how to recover after birth. Hello, Megan.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here. I know that you're so busy and you're such a multitasking mom and woman and physiotherapist, and there's a lot going on.
Squeezing it all in always. Yeah.
But thank you, because on the behalf of every single woman that will be watching this, we are here to discuss truly such important topics. Yeah. How do you as a physiotherapist engage with every single case? Because in the medical system, because it is a system, what happens is that we are just a number, we're just one of, and it's all natural. All of the women have been there. Get it together. Don't be so weak. Yeah. And so women come to you for this specific reason, because most of the times, yes, even though it might be a natural process, they're not given the space, they're not exposed to the resources that they need in order to heal properly, and for their emotions and their body and emotional trauma to come to light. And this is why you're here, and we are so grateful that you wrote the book Stronger, because it really is a female Bible. This book consists of absolutely all of the information that women need in order to heal themselves, both, I think, emotionally and physically. Yeah. So how did this come about? How do you decide, I want to take care of women, this is what is needed? Was it through your own journey? Was it through your friends? How did this come about?
All of those things, really. Kind of my own journey, my work experience, my personal experiences, talking to friends, treating friends, people not knowing where else to go or where to get their help and support. And I think that in providing this, there's that feeling of weakness, like you mentioned, of that vulnerability, but there's such strength in that vulnerability. So women come to see me are so strong because they've made that step, they've made the appointment, and they are showing up and being vulnerable. And the first thing I ask them is, what's brought you here to see me? And it's all about them. And obviously I can't do that in the book. I'm talking about women as a whole, but I take it down different avenues of maybe this is you, maybe this is the experience you've had. But it's totally time when we stop saying, women have been doing this for years, because this woman has never done this before.
But my grandma did it in the field.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
She did it in the field, and you can't do it at the best hospital in London. What's wrong with you, weak woman?
But you didn't work in the field, and you haven't been squatting in that way and stretching your body in that way, and that's not your safe environment. And whether this is your first or your second baby, you've never done that journey before. So every birth is unique, every person is unique. No two are the same. And so in those relationships that I have with women, when we talk about their complaints, it's such an emotional thing. Often when we're both a bit weepy and teary, we talk about what they've been through and then what they need to heal. And then for sure, I've changed as a physiotherapist since I became a mum. And I know both my births were completely different, both my pregnancies were different, and both my kids are different. And what I needed at the time of birthing them and being pregnant with them is different to what they need now individually. And so it's just that uniqueness that we get when someone really listens to you and hears your story and tailors it to you, really, for what you need, both emotionally and physically.
In your book, you did mention how different your pregnancies were and what came after. Can you tell us, if you feel comfortable with just sharing with us? Because I think women perceive you as the strongest. I mean, this is a confident, beautiful body that you're carrying. And so can you tell us a little bit about your own personal experience?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's probably the hardest thing, isn't it? Going in there thinking, I went in there definitely thinking I'm a physiotherapist, I'm a pelvic floor physiotherapist. Nothing bad is going to happen to me. I'm going to breeze this and it's all going to be absolutely fine. And I didn't have enough compassion for myself, enough kind of patience with my body to trust that what it needed, really. And hindsight's obviously such a wonderful thing, and I'm grateful I had a chance again to have another birth. But I was definitely impatient in my first birth, I feel now when I look back. And I was very kind of strict in how long it was going to take to minimize my injury. But my baby and my body needed more time. And so it was a bit of a rush at the end where I had a cut and ventouse to birth my baby, and I was on my back and all those kind of things that we don't really dream of, or I definitely hadn't thought about in going into it. But I was straight up and I was, feeling strong. I was showing what I thought was strength at the time, was that I can do all of this on my own. But now I can see that that wasn't actually what I needed. And to be vulnerable at that point and to say what I needed and to ask for help was really what I needed to do. So yeah, immediately after birth, I felt okay. I was empowered by this great feeling that I'd done this.
How old were you then with your, after your first baby?
I was a couple of weeks from turning 30. So she was, my big birthday present, and I was obviously feeling all the feels, like super in love with her and wanting to show what I felt was that strength. But before long, I could see that my body wasn't recovering as I had anticipated it. And that made me kind of think about the bigger injuries that I had sustained. And it was almost like the shock that I needed to go, okay, yes, women have been doing natural birth for years, but you haven't had a natural birth, Megan. You've had a surgical incision and you've had a ventouse cut, which has pulled your baby down the birth canal. And that's not a natural delivery. You've had a significant injury and need to kind of rehab it as you would your patients and as you do in clinic. So it was a wake-up call for me, really. And then I spent maybe definitely the next 9 months rehabbing myself and treating myself. But it went on for a good few years to really feel like I'd rebuilt my physical strength. So then going into my second birth, I'd like to say that I was super kind of prepared and knew what to do, but I was scared. I was really scared. I didn't want to have another birth injury. I felt like I had all that pressure on my own shoulders to go in and do it well and have this natural birth. So I was really scared. And I'd say that was the predominant feeling through my whole labour, was just this, fear. How will it be? Yeah, fear.
Anticipation.
Yeah. And we don't really talk about that a lot when we talk about birth prep. We talk about pain and managing pain. But I think when I talk to women about preparing for the birth, and when I do perineal massage to stretch and prepare their tissues for the birth experience, we talk about fear a lot, because that's what that panic is, that kind of baby in the birth canal, that, whoa, I've never felt this before feeling. I'm in danger, it's that panic and that fear that comes up when you're really in pain. And it's controlling that fear and understanding that fear. And I guess I hadn't really acknowledged going into that birth how afraid I was going to feel that something the same was going to happen. But her birth was much smoother. She was almost born in the water, but it just took a bit too long. And again, I trained and strengthened all the way through. So my body had built this stiff muscular wall that she had to come down past. And that takes longer. And so we'd had to get out of the pool. So she was born with one leg in the pool and one leg out the pool.
That is so funny.
But that was absolutely my favourite part, because the fear went away and my body did actually know what to do at that point. I could feel everything. I could feel her head kind of pushing against the birth canal and the entrance and then going back in. And then I was like, there's something wrong here. There's something, she can't come out. I could feel everything. And so when I reached down myself, I could feel that her chin was getting stuck.
Oh.
So I just put some pressure on with one hand and I scooped her chin out with the other hand. And then she came really quick and I was able to pick her up. Because I was aware of everything. I was given that space to do that. No one said, you can't feel it. It's my body and my baby and my birth. And I felt really empowered to be able to do that. And it was a huge contrast to the kind of several hours before where I felt this thing was happening to me and I had no control over it. But at that moment, I really knew what was going on. But yeah, it's, both my two births are totally incomparable in so many ways, how I felt about it, how I then managed my postnatal recoveries, how they came into the world. It's had a huge impact on all four of us, I'd say, my girls and me and my husband. Yeah. Thank
you so much for sharing this story. I think for any woman who has given birth or is about to give birth, this kind of conversation really means a lot, because you realize, it's not just me. It's really just not me. I wanted to give birth in London. I had my preferred doctor. I had my setup. I never had an issue. Really did not feel pregnant at all. Did all of my workouts. Just the most beautiful pregnancy. The only physical discomfort that I felt was that there was all of a sudden so much weight around my hip area. And so I had a hard time sleeping because I was just feeling in so much pain.
Yeah.
So, and I am hypermobile or very flexible. In pregnancy, this only intensified. So this was the only discomfort up until the point where we were at a restaurant. I was 8 months pregnant.
Okay.
And then terrible pain started to occur here. And at one point, I just realized that my muscles are they're just not together anymore. They divorced. And that was very painful for me.
Yeah.
So those are the two physical aspects of where I was really feeling that, the baby needs to come out.
Yeah,
because when you need to work on making sure that you sleep, because you know that you're not going to be sleeping for the next, let's be honest, 2-3 years.
And everyone loves to tell you that.
Exactly. So I was trying to, and I was tired, but I just couldn't because of the pain.
Yeah.
And I had a hard time really eating anything because I was in so much pain. There was no more space. So I ended up having to give birth in Berlin due to COVID restrictions. My husband was not able to be there up until the point when I was taken to the delivery room. And they wanted to induce me because I was 1 week over. But I tried so hard to get my baby to she just didn't even give me a sign that she wants to come out.
Yeah.
So that was really scary because I was so alone in this process. But then they decided to induce me, but not with the gel. So in fact, they gave me pills that are not FDA approved. Those pills ended up, doctors realized that they actually work to stimulate the contraction. So it was not your regular prostaglandin gel or so on. And but I didn't feel comfortable with taking these drugs, and so I said if I could speak to somebody, but they just said no, the doctors are busy. You need to take this now. So then I took one pill, which was 25 milligrams, and in 30 minutes I'm on my Pilates ball. I'm doing my beautiful movements. I am in sync with my baby. I go and take showers and I'm feeling, okay, this is happening. I have a hard time talking. I need to be focused on my breathing. But then 4 hours into this, this young girl comes again and she says, you now need to take 2 pills. And I say, but please, can you get somebody to check me? I really don't feel comfortable with taking. I'm already in the process. I feel like I will probably labor the following day. So I said, I don't want to take these pills. Please. I'm trying. She doesn't speak English. My German is nicht so gut. And so then I took these additional 2 pills and then intervention started. Then my blood pressure went down. Then the baby's heartbeat. Then this, then that. So there was all these intervention after intervention. I managed to give birth through my vagina, which to this day I'm very grateful for because clearly the physical trauma is much less severe. But I know that I was very close to having a C-section, and this process of like this time of not knowing what's happening to you and nobody really keeping you in the loop or checking on you. I think some 4 months in or 5 months, just terrible anxiety about everything. Oh my God, what if I trip over the carpet while I'm holding my baby and the baby and we die? Oh my God, what if I bathed the baby in too cold or too hot? Just the craziest things. And then this need for control. Are the doors locked? I need you to tell me. I don't want any loud music. And you know that it's not really how you are as a person, but all of the control over your life is in the moment of birth that is supposed to be your birth story is taken away from you. And then you're trying so hard to regain this control. But everybody around you is like, what is happening? Like, who are you turning into? And this is when I sought therapy. And then, it was very much explained to me in the first session, this is what's happening and it's totally normal and you are not crazy, congratulations. But just that space, that, and being able to speak to somebody who is specialized and who is empathetic and who is a woman, to tell you, oh my goodness, mostly every woman goes through this. We just categorically deny this entire universe that only women who give birth go through. And even though people cannot fully relate, people outside of this experience, they are supposed to be educated enough to support women and to acknowledge this. So my question to you is, why is there so much shame about the birth process itself and all that comes after it? Why are we still as a society in full denial of this truth?
I think the big thing comes down to all those things you mentioned about that, I can't be embarrassed in the process, I have to do it all with a smile. That pressure mostly will come from ourselves, and we don't need it from anybody else. So when we get it from anyone else, it just enhances what we feel, because they're kind of natural feelings, aren't they? But the team around us should be supporting us so we don't feel embarrassed, so we know we don't need to smile, so that all of those anxieties that we have on ourselves are diminished rather than put on us, which tends to happen. I'm a massive fan of, do you know the program Call the Midwife?
Of course.
I love Call the Midwife.
Me too.
And I was watching it this week, and her husband is allowed with the mum right up until the point of pushing, when the baby's actually going to be born. And then they're like, okay, time for you to leave now. And so we've hidden it so much that people kind of don't want to see it. And we're taught that actually you shouldn't show that. And you shouldn't want your husband in the room at that time. And we're like, why? This is of course the time I need him. This is the time I'm going to feel most vulnerable, most afraid. I need the person who has gone through this whole journey with me. That's when I need them to show up and be there. And so I think we normalize it, we talk about it, and we build a team around us who understand our anxieties and can help us resolve them and overcome them. And I have such empathy with you about the kind of feeling of I'm going to hurt my baby. And there was this step at work, I still remember it now when you told that story, it had like a metal edge to it. I used to go into work to do some Pilates, and over that step I'd kind of go sideways because I just had this vision and real graphic image of what would happen if I fell. And I can still imagine it now. I had all this anxiety and fear. And it's really, so my children are 7 and 4. It's only been the last year that I found the therapy that I needed, because all the therapy that I had before that point, I had made that about my relationships. This is happening and now my husband doesn't understand me, or I feel like I can't be in that group environment because I have nothing to say, I'm not funny, or I'm the wrong type of person. And I was buying books like How to Be a Better Person and trying to better myself.
You have wings behind yourself. You
figure out what was wrong with me that I, was causing anguish for other people because they couldn't understand what I was going through. And it was only recently, in this last year, that I found a therapist that I understood that I was showing up for me. And a friend said to me, it's important that you feel better for yourself, right? And up until that point, I was like, well, I need to feel better for my kids and my husband and my partner and all those things. My friend was like, no, it's for you. You actually need to feel better, and then you can show up for your relationships, and they will just happen because you are you and you feel better. And 100% just having someone say that to me, or to talk about it and to go into the therapy to help myself feel better. It's taken me 7 years to do that. It's a hard thing to show out that vulnerability again. But instantly I felt better.